Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from the Online Selling Show, and I'm kind of trying in my head to go through, and I figured, you know what? I'm going to make a special episode for this because I'm sure I'm not the only one who gets to some of these busy seasons for like the thrift, or not the thrift stores, the estate sales and the yard sales, and you start thinking like, how do I plan for the best use of my time? And that's where I'm at. So I'm going to go through some of the things that I have found, and I'm going to go through the steps of how I did find them, and I'm going to give you some of my ideas of how I start to put a plan together. So I hope you find this of value. But so the first thing to start with is I've been on the estatesales.net website for a while, and you can see ahead for videos. And I know I have somebody that allows me to pre-shop. I've been in contact with him. He does not have anything, so I couldn't knock off none of these were his. I have not really made any inroads or any connections with any of these other people to try to pre-shop. So that is one method of what I've tried to do, is to try to get through and pre-shop what I can, and was not able to do that with what I had left. So I hit ones today that were Friday, Saturday to get them out of the mix. I just did a wrap-up video. You can hear how I made out with those there. Then I have ones that are Saturday. One is only a Saturday, but most of them are Saturday, Sunday. So where I live, I'm close to the New Jersey shore, where all the, shore towns and stuff are. And when you looked at the estate sales, I have a ton of what I'm calling, they're demolition sales. I'm knocking them right off of my plate because if you're not familiar what a demolition sale is, I've lived, like I said, near the Jersey Shore, and the reality is there's a lot of people with money there. And what they'll do is they're going to buy these homes, use them through, whatever amount of season that they had. They'll take their $1 million home and then pay somebody to demolish the house and put up like a $10 million home. That's just the reality of what happens. So these demolition companies have learned that for everybody, it becomes more feasible to hold these demolition sales. And what happens is they're going to sell everything from the roofing down to the dirt. And I do mean the dirt. So when these sales go up, unfortunately, because it's these demolition companies, I just want to say that, yeah, they're probably making some money out of this, but I don't think they come at it from the reselling mentality, obviously. So they're showing everything from light fixtures, hardwood floors, bricks that are out in the yard, and stone in the yard, plants even, toilets, fireplace mantles. They're showing that stuff. I would like to go for things like the dishware and the flatware and all, but they never really show all that stuff. Pillows or bedding, but they don't really show too much of that. So truthfully, that stuff got eliminated very quickly out of my list. I got out of there what I could for Friday sales. Nothing is my guy that I can pre-shop. So now I'm left with several other sales. And one of them is a woman that I did before. I mentioned her, and she's about 10 minutes from my home, which makes it nice. It's close. But they did the sale that I mentioned that was very primitive or artisan in what they had. I mentioned in that particular prior video that she had like mixing bowls, but they were actual like pottery made by an artisan, like not, there was like a signature on the bottom, not Gibson or something like that. So those prices were very expensive. Her sale has some Longaberger basket and some Lenox that will be there. And I know they're typically brands that are flooded in the market, but the Lenox is very specific. That's very desirable. And the Longaberger is like the pottery stuff. It's like a mixing bowl and canisters and stuff. And I found the sell-through rate to be good on that. So I would grade this in my head. Like, that sounds like a really good, like, A. If I'm grading it like you would get grade in school, A, B, C, D, F, she would be really like an A. But then I remembered her pricing from that sale, and I thought, she's like a C now, because her prices were very outrageous at that last sale. This is when I mentioned that, like, she had the laminated paper, and like the sweaters are always $30, and her coats are always $50. And I'm like, I don't see that working for me. So she's kind of at a C for me right now. There is the same company that I did before that has the mystery sales, and that's pricing was really good, but they don't give you any photos. So it's so much like question, like you don't know what you're going to get. So she's kind of at a C. They have two of them going on. One's going on today and tomorrow, and the other one's only going on tomorrow. So they're to the west of me. The other one, the first one I mentioned with the longer burger baskets and all, is east. So they're in two different directions. So they're both at C's right now. The woman that I bought the Fisher Price Little People stuff from, that I did the episode saying I needed to be fired because I think I paid too much and everything, she's got another sale coming up, and she's got some really intriguing stuff, but a lot. She's got more Fisher Price, and I just got the rest of my Fisher Price listed last night. I did not get the actual sets, just the Little People on. So I've kind of got a lot of Fisher Price Little People right now. Her pricing was kind of crazy, so she's kind of at a C for me. And she's going tomorrow and Sunday as well. So then when I went through the estate sales, that was kind of what I could pre-shop and make some determinations for. So I don't really have anything there for a specific answer yet. The mystery ones, if they're on the way to something else, I'm going to mix them in. I'm thinking on the two with the overpricing issues, I may wait till Sunday when they're on their second day and the pricing can now be more reasonable, but they still had desirable stuff. So both of them are kind of iced for me until Sunday. The mystery ones only if they're on the way to something. So then I've made mention that there was one I found on the Facebook Marketplace that made a post last week, and I said that she was paraprofessional. I don't think I used the proper term, but I believe she's doing it in a position of something that has to do with her social work background. And I've been to some estate sales where it was like lawyers' offices and stuff like that do these as an extension to the client of what they're doing. And I think that's the relationship here. And I contacted her again, and I just said, hey, are you still having this yard sale or this estate sale this coming week? Because I know life happens. Did anything change? And she said, oh no. She says, the sale's still going on. Everything's going to be 10 cents and above, and bring your bags. It's a 2-story home chock full of stuff. Now, I did look through the pictures when I originally found it and found one thing that looked very promising. And I asked her if she had anything like Christmas related or whatever. And she sent me a few more pictures, which really didn't give me much of an answer. But she did send like a 30 to 40 second video that I was able to find at least one more item that looks very promising. And, so I'm looking at this sale thinking this looks very promising because it's not starting till 9. That's my only drawback. And I don't know that she's going to do things like a sign-in sheet or any kind of, I don't even know what kind of heavy publicity she did for it. So I don't really know in that regard what's happening. But she's getting kind of like a B+ for me because I know her prices are going to be cheap. I know she's saying there's a lot of stuff there. And I've already seen 2 things in those pictures that I've identified as real good potential. So she's kind of high up in my list until I get to the yard sales. Then we get to the yard sales, and I've been mentioning that there is a 55+ house neighborhood yard sale. And the ad said that they had 55 last year and they're expecting to have more this year. And I was like getting kind of excited until I found out they were an over 55 community. And then the oxygen left the room for me. Because in my area, the 55 and over is not that prosperous for me, because most of these people that have gone in there have already did the big clean out. They did all of that to move in whatever house they were in before to these now smaller 2-bedroom 1-bath houses. And most of them, truthfully, I think they're doing it to be social versus actually putting stuff out there. So the prices are usually higher because they don't really care if they get rid of the stuff. And I just find, like I said, like you get there and there's like a card table's worth of stuff. And it's like, okay. And then they want to talk, so you can't kind of like move fast. So this went from being like an A down to a grade C, in my opinion, because there's too many variables now that I don't really have an evaluation. So again, you may be like, God, Kristen, you make this sound like ridiculous. Like, are you going to do anything? Well, then I get to another Facebook post that I found, and it was an area that was near where I grew up. And the last I remember this neighborhood, well, let me back up. The posting had a bunch of furniture in it, and then says they're having a neighborhood yard sale. And I'm thinking, I grew up near there, and I don't remember there being more than like 12 or 15 houses in this neighborhood. Now, I can tell you we've had spurts of, building going on around me and stuff, so maybe it got expanded. I don't really recollect hearing that, but maybe. It's usually been a very more affluent area. So I'm like, that's a possibility. And I could kind of put it on the way to the one that was the 55 and over, and that was what my plan was until I heard about it being over 55. Then I'm like, I don't know what to do. And the two sales I was at today, or today and tomorrow, and both of them had some really nice stuff, but very high prices. So then it's like, do I go back and look at any of those sales? And they're kind of in a position of me saying, I don't really know. It's got to be on the way to something else. So then the last thing that I have for consideration is that my sister's friend, whose only way I understand of doing anything for herself, like they don't buy anything new. Like it's yard sales, and almost all their food is stuff that is either given to them by their family and friends because it's expired, or they dumpster dive. And you can have whatever you want to say about all that. I'm not getting into that. But the reason I bring that up is she tells me that the 4-H fairgrounds by us is having their annual sale, and that she finds it to be very good. And I'm thinking, if this is her, then I know the prices are going to be reasonable because, like I said, she's very frugal. And if she's telling me it's worthwhile, that must mean there's a lot of people there. I mean, I see her at yard sale stuff all the time. I have for years. So I think when she tells me that, I'm going to put some weight to that. So my other thinking with that is, maybe I'm wrong to stereotype, but at least in our area, there's a lot of emphasis on people in 4-H on farming of some sort. Farmers are usually very early risers. Am I wrong? So I'm thinking I need to get out of my house by 7 to be able to hit as much stuff as I can. And my thinking is, I bet you at 7 o'clock in the morning, I can count on them 4-H people being out than I can the 55 and over people. Because I'm going to tell you, I've been to those 55 and over communities, and it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. They're still like pulling stuff out. And you're like, were you really wanting to sell this stuff? Like, can we move it? And like I said, they're trying to talk to you and everything else. So I'm thinking that's an A, if not an A+. I'm going to talk to my sister's friend tonight, because the other thing is I want to see if I have to take my collapsible wagon, because I'm envisioning this to be very much like a flea market where it's just like a booth after booth after booth. And I'm probably going to want to have that with me to load up. So I'm going to talk to her unless I find out anything differently. That one is the one that's coming in rated at an A, as an A+, based on the facts. Like I said, I'm getting a very good recommendation from somebody I know to be very frugal, somebody who does a lot of yard selling all the time. And if she's telling me there's good stuff there, I gotta believe her that there's good stuff there. And then I do believe the one that has the neighborhood yard sale supposedly going on, I'm going to go back and see what else is showing up on Facebook Marketplace. I have not even looked yet for anybody posting for like specific individual sales. So I'm going to go and look at the neighborhood one to see if anything more was posted on that. And, put that to my sister's friend to the conversation as well, as what do you know about this neighborhood? Because I'm sure she's been, through it more regularly. I have moved away, so I'm not right where I grew up anymore. And she's probably going to have a better idea about that. And I think that may be my secondary. And then when I leave there, it's the crossroads. It's like, do I go to the sale that's the 55 and plus over 55 houses? Or do I go to the west where there's the house sale with the, everything's 10 cents and bring your bags. And there's at least 2 items that I've already identified that I know I want. So I think that's going to be the plan tomorrow. You can watch my next episode to figure out which one I decide to. I think it's just really going to be a flip of a coin. But I think the plan is, I don't know that if I go to the ones that's the 55 and over community, I may stop back in those other 2 yard sales I went today. I don't know. If I go the route of the one that is the 10 cents and bring your bags lady, then if I go that way, I may go back to the estate sale. That was the lady with all the Fisher Price. And then Sunday, I believe I'm going to hit the one with the longer burger basket in Lenox. That's only going to depend on if I don't blow all my money, because if I get so much good stuff, I mean, I just did a wrap up for what I did today, and I got some decent stuff. But I spent not quite half of what I allotted for myself for this weekend. So you'll have to see my weekly updates, but I'm hoping you found some good content in this. I know you may be saying, like, well, Kristen, how does this help me? I'm just telling you what my thought process is. All of us are going to have different opportunities. Every week's going to be a different opportunity. But these are the things I'm telling you that runs through. Think about what the feasibility is of, can you get in? Can you get out? Will there be a volume of stuff? Where they are geographically, the timing of stuff. You start using the different resources around you to figure out what is going to be the most conducive thing for the time that you have. Because yard selling is really basically from 7 and 8 in the morning till about noon. That is your 5 hours tops of time for yard selling. Estate selling will give you a big concentration of things that will help you cut down on some of the running around part of it. So you kind of have to weigh what's going to be important for you. And obviously what I'm buying is not necessarily the same as what you're going to be buying. And some of the items that you're buying may be more available at something that's like a thrift store. But this is just how I grade what I'm going to do when I have a lot of opportunity. And if you notice, I don't mention anything to do with thrift stores. I don't find thrift stores are going to be that valuable asset to me right now. The estate sales and the yard sales are going to have the most plentiful and the best prices for me right now. So I hope you found this to be inspirational. Please leave me a thumbs up if you did get anything good out of this. Feel free to leave me a comment if there's something else maybe you're thinking that I should be considering. I would love to hear from you. And I would really greatly appreciate it if you use that button down below to subscribe to my channel. It would help me grow the channel, but it would also help you because it'll put my next videos in your feed when I upload them. So I say thank you and goodbye for now.